On day 31 of this war, something happened that I genuinely did not expect. The President of the United States said it out loud. In a sit-down interview published this morning, Trump told the Financial Times, quote, "My preference would be to take the oil." He was asked about it directly. No ambiguity, no walking it back. He said, "I want to take the oil. Some stupid people say, why are you doing that? But I want to take the oil." When asked specifically about Karg Island, Iran's primary oil export terminal, Trump responded, quote, "We could take it easily. It would not be hard." A sitting president telling the world he intends to seize a sovereign nation's oil infrastructure as a war prize, not as a negotiating lever, not as a temporary measure, as a permanent acquisition. That is what he said. Let me put the scale of this in perspective. Karg Island handles roughly 3% of global oil supply. If the United States controls it permanently, it controls the ability to turn Iranian oil revenue on or off at will as a geopolitical weapon. Seizing sovereign oil infrastructure violates international law under the United Nations Charter, the Geneva Conventions, and the laws of war. Every United States ally in the G7 would be forced to condemn it. Russia, China, India, the entire global south would revolt. And buried inside reporting that same day, another revelation. The Wall Street Journal confirmed Trump is considering a military operation to physically extract approximately 454 kilograms of enriched uranium from Iran's nuclear facilities, a commando-style seizure of nuclear material. No country has ever done this during active combat. Not once in history. Special operations forces extracting a nuclear stockpile while bombs are falling. That is what is being discussed right now. The legal and logistical complexity alone is staggering. But the fact that it is on the table tells you everything about where this administration's thinking has gone in 31 days. Now, while I was tracking these developments, something happened on the battlefield that changes the entire strategic map of this conflict. On Saturday, March 28th, the war's one-month anniversary, Yemen's Houthi rebels launched their first direct attacks on Israel. Ballistic missiles and drones fired at what the Houthis called sensitive Israeli military sites. They had held back for the entire first month. Now they are in. Here is why this is the most dangerous single development this week. Iran is currently blocking the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf choke point carrying 20% of global oil. The Houthis now control the approaches to the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. That is the Red Sea choke point at Yemen's southern tip. Another 12% of global trade flows through it. If both straits are simultaneously blocked, 32% of global oil supply is cut off from world markets overnight. I want you to sit with that number for a moment. 32% of the world's oil, gone. The alternative Saudi export route through the Yanbu oil terminal on the Red Sea now falls within Houthi missile range, and the Houthis have specifically named it as a target. Oil prices are already 40% above pre-war levels. If the Bab al-Mandeb closes too, we are entering territory nobody in modern markets has ever navigated. Ships stranded, routes collapsing. Australia has already announced emergency measures to shore up fuel supply, and the Houthis announced 3 conditions for expanding operations if any new country joins the coalition, if United States and Israeli escalation continues, or if Red Sea shipping is provoked. All 3 of those conditions are currently being met. Emirates Global Aluminium, one of the world's largest producers, confirmed its Abu Dhabi facility was substantially damaged by Iranian missile fire over the weekend. Bahrain's water desalination infrastructure was hit as well. This war has already spilled into the Gulf states. The idea that it can be contained to Iranian and Israeli soil is finished. Iranian strikes have now hit Kuwait, Iraq, Oman, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates. The war just expanded to 3 new countries overnight. Iranian missiles were filmed flying past the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. The Burj Al Arab Hotel was reportedly struck by an Iranian drone. Think about what that means for regional stability and international tourism infrastructure. Interception footage over downtown Dubai. This is not a war zone. This is one of the world's busiest commercial hubs. The Dubai skyline is now a combat theater. Flights are being rerouted. Insurance premiums are collapsing shipping contracts. And yet, remarkably, commercial airplanes are still taking off from airports in the region, even as missiles fly overhead. The maritime insurance sector is buckling. Lloyd's of London has effectively suspended war risk coverage across the Persian Gulf, and without insurance, tankers cannot legally sail. The economic cascade is already underway. Markets are swinging violently between panic and false hope. When markets reopened Monday after the weekend, the reaction was dramatic. Crude futures surged. Shipping stocks collapsed. defense contractors rallied. The disruption to global energy flows is having an immediate, sharp impact on every commodity market on Earth. And that brings me to what I consider the most alarming intelligence of the entire conflict. Over the weekend, Central Intelligence Agency Director John Ratcliffe confirmed publicly, on the record, to Congress, that Russia and China are sharing intelligence information with Iran. Russia is providing real-time satellite intelligence on United States and Israeli strike packages. That means Iran is getting advance warning of incoming attacks before the jets even arrive over their targets. This probably explains why some of Iran's mobile missile launchers have survived repeated bombing runs. Russia is also providing drone technology upgrades to Iran's Shahed program, making Iranian drones harder to intercept, more accurate, and more lethal. According to my research, Russian military advisors are believed to be embedded with Revolutionary Guards Command. Russia signed a strategic partnership agreement with Iran in January 2025, less than 2 months before this war started, and has honored its military clauses ever since. China's role is equally significant, but operates differently. Beijing is providing diplomatic cover at the United Nations Security Council, blocking any binding resolution. China is buying Iranian oil through back channels to keep Iran's economy from total collapse. Iran's foreign minister said it publicly, quote, "We have good cooperation with Russia and China, politically, economically, even militarily. This cooperation is not a secret." He said it openly, not a leak, not an intercept, a public statement. So what we are looking at right now is not the United States fighting Iran. It is the United States fighting Iran plus Russian intelligence, plus Chinese economic support, plus Hezbollah, plus Iraqi militias, plus the Houthis. This is a proxy war between two nuclear-armed great power blocs, and it is being fought on Iranian soil with American credibility on the line. Iran is now pushing for Moscow and Beijing to be formally involved in any ceasefire negotiation. The Islamabad talks would transform from a bilateral channel into a great power diplomatic standoff, requiring Russian and Chinese sign-off. Trump would never accept that, which may be exactly why Iran is demanding it. Now let me show you what is happening on the military side, because the buildup I am tracking is extraordinary. The USS Tripoli arrived Friday carrying 3,500 Marines from the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit. They are now in theater. Combined with 2,200 Marines deployed earlier and the 82nd Airborne Detachment, the total United States ground force pre-positioned for a potential invasion now exceeds 6,000 troops, the largest amphibious force assembled in the Persian Gulf since 1991. These Marines have one primary mission consistent with everything Trump just told the Financial Times: an amphibious landing on Iranian territory. Karg Island. Take the oil. He said the quiet part out loud, and the Marines are already at sea. The Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group remains on station, its air wing flying continuous combat sorties over Iranian airspace. F-18 Super Hornets launching day and night from the flight deck. The tempo has not slowed in 31 days. Last night, United States B-1 bombers struck deep inside Iran, targeting ballistic missile infrastructure. These are long-range heavy bombers launching from Diego Garcia, flying thousands of miles to deliver precision munitions. CENTCOM continues releasing strike footage almost daily now, targeting launch sites, command centers, and air defense networks across the country. The Desful Air Base was leveled in a combined United States and Israeli strike. The explosions were violent enough to be captured on civilian cameras from miles away. Footage showing missiles literally raining down on Iranian regime targets. The scale of this bombardment is unlike anything this region has seen in decades. And this morning, the United States military released new footage of precision strikes on Iranian command and control nodes. Satellite analysis reveals the extent of damage to Iran's missile infrastructure. Launch sites cratered, fuel depots destroyed, radar installations flattened. Israel has been operating in concert, hitting targets the Americans leave for them. Israeli F-35s carried out strikes on key targets inside Tehran itself, hitting Revolutionary Guards facilities in the heart of the capital. One source described it simply: Israel is leveling Tehran the way it leveled Gaza. For Tehran, these nights are long. Massive fires erupted across Tehran after Israeli strikes hit oil storage depots in the northern districts. The smoke was visible across the city for hours, explosions ripping through neighborhoods that 2 months ago were functioning urban centers with traffic and commerce and ordinary life. Firefighters are working around the clock, but the strikes keep coming. Every time they extinguish one fire, another target is hit. Emergency responders digging through collapsed buildings. The civilian toll in these densely populated areas is something that will be counted for months. Iran's military leadership has been decapitated layer by layer. Multiple senior commanders were killed in the first hours of the conflict. Nuclear scientists have been specifically targeted alongside military commanders. Now, the nuclear angle took a serious turn this week. Israel struck the Arak heavy water production facility on March 27th after detecting renewed reconstruction efforts, meaning Iran was actively trying to rebuild nuclear infrastructure that had already been bombed. The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed this morning that the facility has sustained damage and no longer operates, but their statement contained a phrase that should concern everyone. The facility contains no declared nuclear material. That is agency language for we don't know what was there that Iran never told us about. It is the same language they used about Parchin in 2015, which later turned out to contain undeclared nuclear weapons-related experiments. They are telling us they verified the damage, but they cannot account for materials Iran never disclosed. Meanwhile, Iran's energy minister announced that power has been partially restored in some parts of the country following Israeli strikes on the electricity grid. This is the first confirmation that Iran has been running emergency repair crews throughout the war, trying to restore infrastructure as fast as Israel destroys it. They are racing against the clock, patching power lines under bombardment. Israel is watching these repairs and will almost certainly strike the same targets again. But Iran is not just absorbing punishment, it is fighting back. Wave after wave of ballistic missiles have been launched at Tel Aviv. Iran's missile arsenal has proven far deeper than Western intelligence initially assessed. Multiple impacts have been confirmed across central Israel. The Iron Dome and Arrow systems are working, but they are being tested at rates nobody planned for. The war has challenged Israel's ability to deploy enough interceptors to match the volume of incoming fire. Each Iranian ballistic missile costs a fraction of what each interceptor costs. Iranian ballistic missiles have struck central Israel, hitting infrastructure targets that were supposed to be within the defensive umbrella. Iran struck Israel's largest oil refinery in Haifa. The storage tanks burned for hours. This is Iran's strategy, hitting energy infrastructure the same way Israel is hitting theirs. Concerns are rising over interceptor stockpiles on both sides. Cluster munitions from Iranian ballistic missiles were filmed falling over central Israel. These weapons scatter submunitions across wide areas, designed to overwhelm point defenses. Tel Aviv received crossfire attacks from 3 different directions simultaneously. Iran coordinated launches from its own territory, from Hezbollah in Lebanon, and now from Houthi positions in Yemen. Hezbollah launched dozens of rockets into northern Israel. The northern front, which had been relatively quiet, is active again. Israel responded with airstrikes on southern Beirut, collapsing buildings in residential areas. The Lebanon front is fully reopened. Israel struck the Qasmieh Bridge over the Litani River in southern Lebanon, cutting off supply routes that Hezbollah uses to move weapons south. Iranian missiles and drones have also targeted United States bases in Iraq and a British base in Cyprus. This is not confined to the Middle East anymore. NATO territory has been hit. Counter-rocket and artillery systems engaged Iranian drones over Baghdad. The United States Embassy compound in the Green Zone has come under direct fire. Footage captured the moment an Iranian drone struck near the United States Embassy. American personnel have been sheltering in place for days. Embassy staff continue to shelter in place. Washington has not ordered an evacuation, but the security situation is deteriorating by the hour. CENTCOM released footage from what they are calling Operation Epic Fury, showing sustained strikes deep inside Iranian territory targeting military command infrastructure. United States forces are, in CENTCOM's words, taking bold action to eliminate imminent threats. The tempo of operations has not decreased. It has accelerated. Patriot air defense systems guarding Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar have been launching interceptors against incoming Iranian missiles. Qatar, a United States ally, is now in the crosshairs. A direct hit was reported in Doha, Qatar. Several fires are burning at Naval Support Activity Bahrain, the headquarters of the United States Navy's 5th Fleet. The base that commands all American naval operations in the Persian Gulf is under attack. Explosions near the 5th Fleet base. This is Iran sending a direct message to every American sailor in the Gulf. The United States sank an Iranian warship in response. 2 days ago, the Iranian regime had 11 ships in the Gulf of Oman. That number is shrinking rapidly as the United States Navy hunts them down one by one. The United States has bombed Iranian naval vessels across the Persian Gulf. Iran's surface fleet is being systematically eliminated. A United States Navy submarine sank the Iranian warship Iris Dana in the Indian Ocean. Iran's remaining naval assets are being pushed further from the strait, but its mine-laying capability and small boat swarms remain a persistent threat. Iran's supreme leadership has vowed hardline resistance. The regime shows no sign of capitulating despite the devastation. Massive gatherings continue in Tehran, with the regime mobilizing its base and framing this war as an existential struggle for survival. The rhetoric has only intensified. But beneath the surface of regime unity, cracks are forming. Human rights groups have documented significant unrest across Iranian cities, with citizens caught between bombs falling from above and a government they did not choose. University campuses have become flashpoints. Students are protesting even as the regime cracks down. The war is being fought on two fronts inside Iran, against foreign bombs and against domestic dissent. The human cost continues to mount on every side. And in Gaza, the humanitarian crisis deepens further still. And here is where it all collapses into contradiction. This morning, Trump told reporters that Iran has agreed to most of the United States' demands. Bloomberg confirmed the quote. Tehran has given in to most of the United States' demands. Secretary Rubio says the war will be over in weeks. The administration says all options remain open, including diplomacy. But here is the reality I am tracking as of this morning at 5:38 a.m. on day 31. Iran fired missiles at Israel this morning. Iranian missiles were seen over the skies of Tel Aviv. The Houthis just entered the war. Russia is feeding Iran. Intelligence. China is keeping its economy alive. 6,000 Marines are staged at sea with nowhere to land yet. This is the largest American military operation since the invasion of Iraq. And the president told a newspaper he wants to permanently seize a foreign country's oil. Iran has given in to most demands, according to Trump. The war is fully ongoing on four fronts, according to reality. April 6th is in 7 days. That is the deadline Trump set for Iran's power plant. 6,000 troops. Karg Island. 454 kilograms of enriched uranium. 2 global oil choke points under threat. Russian satellites watching American bombers. Chinese money keeping Iranian lights on. Day 31 is not a war that is winding down. It is a war that is deciding what kind of world comes next.